All right, Tuesday's Read Aloud. So, guys, we last left off where Julia convinced her dad to put the sign up on the billboard that Ivan created. They finally put the puzzle together. So we know he used the word home. We know that he drew Ruby and in a zoo. And so now I'm curious what's going to happen when Mack drives to work that day. So this is called The Next Morning. I watch Mack's car slam to a halt in the parking lot. He leaps out and he stares at the billboard. His jaw is open and he doesn't move for a long time. Mad human. A mad gorilla is loud, but a mad human can be loud too. Especially when he's throwing chairs and turning over tables and breaking the cotton candy machine. Phone call. Mack is kicking a trash can across the food court when the phone rings. He answers it, his face all red and sweaty. What the? He demands. He glares at me. I don't know what he starts to say, but then he stops to listen. Who? Julia who? He asks. Oh, sure. George's kid? She's the one who called you? More talking. With the phone to his ear, Matt comes closer to my cage, eyeing me up suspiciously. Yeah, he says. He paints, sure. We've been selling his art for quite a while now. There's another long pause. Yeah, absolutely. It was my idea. Mack nods. A smile starts at the corners of his mouth. Photos? No problem. You want to see him in action? Come on down here and have a look. We're open 365 days a year. You can't miss us. We're right off the I-95. Mack picks up the overturned trash can. Yeah, I think he'll be adding more pictures. It's what do you call it, a work in progress? When the call is done, Mack shakes his head. Impossible, he says. An hour later, a man came with a camera, and he came to take my picture. He's from the local paper, the one that Julia called. How about you take one of me with the elephant? Mack suggests. He drapes his arm around Ruby's back, grinning as the camera clicks. Perfect, the man says. Perfect, Mack agrees. A star again. A photo of my billboard is in the newspaper. Mack tapes the story onto my window. Each day, more curious people are arriving. They park in front of the billboard. They point and they shake their heads. They take photos. Then they come into the mall and they buy my paintings. While visitors watch, I dip my hands in fresh buckets of paint. I make pictures for the gift shop and pictures to add to the billboard. Trees with birds, a newborn elephant with glittering black eyes, a squirrel, a bluebird, a worm. I even paint Bob so that he can be on the billboard too. I can tell he likes the picture, although he says, I didn't quite capture his distinguished nose. Every afternoon, Mack and George add my new pictures to the billboard. People slow their cars while they work. Drivers are honking and waving. My gift shop pictures now cost $65 with a frame. The Ape Artist. I have new names. People call me the Ape Artist. The Primate Picasso. I have visitors from morning until night, and so does Ruby. But nothing's changed for her. Every day at 2, 4, and 7, Ruby plods through the sawdust with Snickers on her back. Every night she has bad dreams. Bob, I say, after I soothe Ruby to sleep with a story, my idea isn't working. Bob opens one eye. Be patient. I'm tired of being patient, I say. Interview. This evening, a man and a woman come to interview Mack and also George and Julia. The man has a large and heavy camera perched on his shoulder. He films me as I'm making pictures. He films Ruby in her cage with her foot roped to that bolt on the floor. Mind if I take a look around? He asks. Mack waves ahead. Be my guest. While Mack and the woman talk, the cameraman walks through the mall. He pans his camera right, left, up, and down. And when his eyes fall on that claw stick, He stops. He trains his camera on the gleaming blade, and then he moves on. The early news. Mack turns on the TV. We are on the early news at 5 o'clock. Bob says, don't let it get to my head. There we all are. Mack, Ruby, me, George, Julia, the billboard, the mall, the ring, and the claw stick. What do you think is going to happen now that they're on the news? And even though they get to see everybody who's at the mall, they now are focused on the claw stick. Do you think the reaction is going to be good or not so great? Signs on sticks. In the morning, several people gather in the parking lot. They're carrying signs on sticks. The signs have words and pictures on them, and one has a drawing of a gorilla cradling a baby elephant. Oh, I wish I could read. Read some of those. Protesters. More people with signs come today. They want Ruby to be free. Some of them even want Mack to shut down the mall. Free for Ruby. Animals need love. Ivan and Ruby. Elephants are people too. We love animals. Ruby! In the evening, George and Mack talk about them. Mack says they're protesting the wrong guy. He says they're going to ruin everything. He says, thanks for nothing, George. Mack stomps off. George, holding his mop, watches him leave. He rubs his eyes. He looks worried. Dad, Julia says, looking up from her homework, you know what my favorite sign was? Which one? George asks. The one that said elephants are people too. George gives her a tired smile. He goes back to work. His mop moves across the empty food court like a giant brush, painting a picture that no one will ever see. Check marks. A tall man with a clipboard and pencil comes to visit. He says he's here to inspect the property. He doesn't say much more, but he makes many check marks on a paper. He looks at my floor. Check. He examines Ruby's head. Check. He eyes our water bowls. Check. Mack watches him scowling. Bob is outside, hiding near the dumpster. He doesn't want to be a check mark. Free Ruby. Every day there are more protesters and cameras with bright lights. Sometimes the people carrying signs shout, Free Ruby! Free Ruby! Ivan, Ruby asks, why are those people yelling my name? Are they mad at me? They're mad, I say, but not at you. A week later, the inspecting man comes back with a friend, a woman with smart, dark eyes like my mother's. She has a white coat on, and she smells like blossoms. Her hair is thick and brown, the color of a rotten branch teeming with luscious ants. She watches me for a long time, and then she watches Ruby. She talks to the man. They both talk to Mack. The man gives Mack a sheet of paper. Mack covers his face. He goes to his office and slams the door. Checklists and a lady in a white coat now giving him a piece of paper. And I think by the slamming of the door, we know that Mack is a little upset. So I wonder what this paper says, and what does that mean for Ruby and Ivan? I guess we'll find out next time. Bye!